All right. Good morning, everybody. Go ahead and bring up Canvas. So this is what's on your plate for today. For this week until Sunday, the Unit 1 review and test. So make sure that you go through that review before you take a look at the test, unless you are super confident that you're gonna do amazing at it, right? Look at that review, go through it, practice the problems. Again, this review video is just me going through that same review with you. You can also go back to previous sections and do any of those practice problems or any of the problems in the back of the lesson. Remember, on these previous sections, if you're doing some of those practice problems in the back of the lesson, this solutions manual is for all of those problems. So it's not just for the whatever, like the 10 practice section problems that I assign you. This is for all 30 or 40 problems in the back of each lesson. So if you choose to, you can go back to those old lessons, especially ones that you're unsure about and you need more of a refresher on, and you could do some of those practice problems. Or you can go to Envision. Every week, I'm loading extra assignments against you in Envision. They're not due, but they're just there for you to practice. So you should be able to access all those old assignments. So you can always go to Envision, go back to the old assignments and do any of those practice worksheets or practice assignments that I've loaded against you in Envision. The next thing that I want to share for you that unlocked this week is, or that unlocked today for this week, is 2.1. So this will start us off in Unit 2. This is all about quadratic functions, and basically the next few lessons is all about kind of different forms of quadratic functions. This is the vertex form. So you'll notice that most everything looks exactly the same except for this part right here. So what I did is I went in here and I added an extra practice line in each of these upcoming units that we're doing. And the reason why is just so that way you're not kind of like thumbing through and randomly trying to find something that's extra practice. I wanted to be able to provide you specifically, if you want to do more practice problems than just the practice section in the back of the lesson, you can click on this and it gives you a list of everything you can do. So basically the two main things, and of course, if you've exhausted both of these, you can reach out to me and I can find something else if you really want to do something else. But you can go to Envision, and I always load those extra assignments against you in Envision. Those assignments are nice, we've talked about before, because when you do them, you'll enter the answer and it'll tell you if you're right or wrong. So you'll get immediate feedback to let you know how you're doing. And of course, if you're doing those assignments and those problems and you're like, I don't see how they're getting that, and you try another one and you're still not getting it, just email me and I can jump on Zoom with you. You can share your screen and we can go over the problem together. And then the other one is in the back of each lesson. So for 2.1, the problems are on pages 77 through 79. So again, I only have you do that practice section. So if you look in the book, there's basically each column is labeled a different thing. The first column is labeled, do you understand? The second column is labeled, do you know how? I think the third column is understand. The fourth column is practice. That's the one I'm already having you do. And then there's a fifth column and a sixth column. So if you want extra practice, if you want to just make sure your skills are finely tuned, you can do any of these things that are in this extra practice line. So that's something that's new for this next week. Again, nothing required. You don't have to. That's just there if you want to do it. Okay. Let me look at my notes real quick. This week's homework is unlocked, or this next week's homework, right? 2.1 is unlocked. I had some conferences last night where a couple of students were unaware that you could retake these check-ins. So remember, this goes back to just kind of the first day and basically the first month, because I've said this probably 30 times. When you click on this check-in, the attempt says unlimited. So it'll tell you right there that you have unlimited attempts. You can take this check-in until your heart's content, until you get the score you want to get. So a couple of people that we talked to, or that I talked to last night in conferences, said, well, I didn't know that I could retake it. So make sure you're listening right now. Make sure you know that that check-in can be taken an unlimited amount of times until you get the score that you want. Don't forget this week's material, this Unit 1 test. This will be due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Make sure that that gets done by then because there is no late work. If anything, just on your plate, right? If you're clicking through things, if you're trying to access a video, if you're trying to do whatever, and something seems weird, if you're taking this test and you're getting x equals 5 and you are 100% confident that x equals 5 and it's not an answer, please email me right away. I'll go in there, I'll fix it. I make all these tests, so I make mistakes constantly. That's one thing I learned when I first started teaching. Anytime you create something, like anytime you create an assignment or create a test, man, it doesn't matter how careful you are, there is always a little mistake. So please let me know if you're seeing something that's weird or something's, you know, incorrect on your end, and I'll fix it. All right. I'll let these people that are late in pause for questions. All right. Nothing. Everybody's good to go. Let me clarify one more thing before we take off, just because this came up yesterday as well. I'll be sending an email out this weekend that just kind of talks about a lot of stuff that we talked about on conferences. But another thing that came up was a question that I was asking some people was, what are you doing when we break? So like right now, when we're about to take off and break for the day, and I say, if you have questions, hang out. If you don't have questions, move on. And the people that I asked, I think it was 3 out of 4 people, basically said that they just go do other things. They go back to bed, they do whatever. So with that said, make sure you understand that just because we're breaking right now after 10 minutes of class, that gives you another 35 minutes to go in and work on this stuff. So the next 35 minutes, once you disconnect from our Zoom meeting, you should be actively working on math, okay? If you can't or if you won't, that's your choice. But make sure you set aside some time before Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. to do it, okay? Any questions about anything? Last call. So it's up to whatever score you get on your test or on your check-in. It's completely up to you if you want to retake it. If you're happy with a 10%, then awesome. If you're not happy with a 95%, then retake it. It's totally up to you. It's your call. All right, everybody. It's awesome to see you again. We'll see you on Monday. Have a safe Halloween. See ya.
Oh, I also had like a couple math questions too.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if this is allowed, and if it's not, it's totally okay. But there were a couple like format questions on the test that kind of stumped me.
Okay.
And so we got a system of equations one, and it was just like 2 lines, but like in the textbook, I don't think we got a system of equations thing with only 2 lines on it.
Huh. When you say 2 lines, I'm not sure what you mean. Let me make sure Antonio
It's
doesn't have
like
any questions. Hold on, Alexander. Antonio, do you got any questions for me?